So here we have our vanishing point, and that's where all of your orthogonal lines will connect to or recede to. The vanishing point is on what we call a horizon line, and the horizon line is what divides the sky, which is above the line, and the ground, which is below the line. So pretend your face, or you are standing right at the vanishing point, and if you're looking up towards the letter A, you would see the bottom and the right sides of the letter. So if that's the case, we need to make sure our lines are showing the bottoms and the right sides of the letter. So first connect these points I'm showing you to your vanishing point. Then you'll have to take your original line, which is right here, and create a parallel line by pretending you like dragging it down the page. So try to make it exactly equal, just different in distance. Now if you shade that in, you can kind of see that you've made the bottom of your letter A look more 3D. Now we're going to do the right side. Connect that to the vanishing point. Now again, that bottom corner has to connect up, but it needs to connect using a parallel line from the original side of the A. So line up your ruler and just push it towards the side so it meets that bottom corner and draw a line. So now we've blocked out the right side of the A. And you can erase the original lines that go towards your vanishing point because you don't need them anymore. Now we just need to show the inside of the A, the lower and the right side. So connect the bottom points and that interior top corner. It's easier to start with the bottom, so let's start with the bottom first. So same thing as the first time we did it. Attach both points to the vanishing point and then draw a parallel line from the original bottom of the A. If you want to line them up with the other side of the A, then you can do that too to make it look like they match. Now the bottom is just hanging there, and we have to figure out how it connects to the rest of the A. So start off by drawing your vanishing point line. And there's a term for this. We'll see this term in a bit. And you don't have to make it go all the way. You can stop it if you don't want to run over your letter. Now we want to make another parallel line, and it needs to connect to that bottom corner right there. Yeah. So make a parallel line, pull it all the way to that bottom corner, and attach it. Good. They're parallel. But now it's hanging, so we need to make another parallel line from that crossbar in the A and bring that down to the corner. Okay, so now you have drawn an A in 1-point perspective. I'm just shading in the sides to show you what parts are actually created in 3D. Now the inside of the A, because it's so small, there is no way of showing any lines in there, so we're just going to shade it in because you would see it. Okay, for the B. If you're standing at the vanishing point and you look up, you would see the bottom of the B and probably a bit of that overhang. So let's start by the corner. Attach that corner to the vanishing point, just like we normally do. Now, for a curved letter, I normally start on the outside. I put my pencil on the vanishing point, and I push my ruler until it hits a part of that curved letter. So here's that part. I'm connecting it. And I'm going to keep going to do that overhang part. So I'm going to keep going until it hits a part of that overhang right there. And I'll draw my line there. Okay. So you can keep your B like that. It would look like it's, trailing off into infinity, or you can cut your B off. Now you have to make a parallel line, and curved parallel lines are a little bit difficult, so this might take you a while. Then kind of figure out the thickness of that bottom line, and you'll have to do another parallel line where that overhang is. So the thickness should be roughly the same. Now the interiors as well, you want to keep them about the same thickness, and we're just going to make 2 parallel lines. And so there's your bee. So when we move over to C, C is a curved letter, so it is a bit more difficult. And we are going to start the same way by putting our pencil on the vanishing point. But just before that, if you were standing at the vanishing point, you would see the left side of the C and the underneath or interior part of the C. So put your pencil on the vanishing point and turn your ruler until it hits the C. Now this line that we're drawing towards the vanishing point has a special word. This is called an orthogonal line. It's just the word for the line that attaches the object towards the vanishing point and technically shows the side of the object. Now we're going to attach our orthogonal line to the bottom of the C. So start with your pencil on the vanishing point and drag your ruler until you hit the C. Draw your line there. Now if you wanted your C to look like it's going to infinity, you can leave it, or we would cut it off. And we cut it off with a parallel line. So a parallel line is an exact same line that's kind of been pulled back in distance, but it's the same angle, and make sure it's curved the exact same way so that they match. And again, that's called a parallel line. You can erase your orthogonal lines whenever you don't need them. Now we just need to finish the interior part of the C. So because there's a corner, we can just attach that corner towards the vanishing point. Now if you wanted to keep your C this thickness, then you wouldn't have to cut off the interior of the C. But if you make your C less thick, like I'm doing now, then it wouldn't make sense that the interior goes farther beyond that. So you'd have to cut off the interior too. And you would do that by creating a parallel line. So there's the thickness, so that's about how thick it should be. Okay, so if you were standing where the vanishing point was and you're looking towards the D, you would see the upper right and the interior. So let's start by connecting the vanishing point to the corner of the D with an orthogonal line. And then we are going to hit our ruler against that pencil on the outside of the D and drag the ruler until it hits the D. We're also going to put a line to the interior bottom corner. And if we wanted to keep the D going off into the distance, it could stay like this. It looks like it's never ending. Or you can decide to cut it off with the parallel line. So again, curved lines are very tricky. They're probably going to need a little bit more work than a regular straight line with a ruler. So you'll see me go over this line a few times. If you wanted to make your thickness smaller, again, you bring your parallel line closer to the original letter. So if the thickness is smaller, then the interior thickness has to be the same. So let's make a parallel line on the inside. And then where that parallel line hits the orthogonal, you need to make another parallel line on that little curve. Okay, let's move over to the E. So if we're standing above the E, looking down, you'll see the top of the E and the top of the interiors of the E. So let's start by adding our orthogonals to the top corners. And we can add our parallel line. So that's kind of the system. You add your orthogonals and then a parallel, orthogonals and then a parallel. I like to erase my orthogonals as I go because then it ends up being just too many lines on your page. So I'm doing the next corner. And again, you don't have to go all the way if you don't want to run through your letter. And that's the same thickness, so I'm going to cut off that thickness with the parallel line. Again, I'm going to go to the bottom corner. And when you see me try to go to the interior left corner, they line up with the vanishing point. There's a straight line. There's no change in that line, so I can't draw one. Now I'm just adding my parallel line. And you can erase anything that you don't need. Now the F is pretty much the same. It just looks different because it's to the lower right of the vanishing point. So if I was looking at it, I would see the left and the top and the interior, the top of the interior. So I'll attach my vanishing point to these corners that show the outside. And then I'd have to do the interior right corner. Now, if you wanted your F to look like it's going off to the infinity of distance, you can leave it like that, or you can cut it off. So remember, your parallel lines need to be exactly the same angle as your original object. If you accidentally change the angle, you're not super straight or you're totally off, then it's not going to look correct. It's going to look very odd, and your eye will tell that it looks odd. So that's one mistake we don't want to do. The second mistake we don't want to do is put in a parallel line that is in reality parallel, but it doesn't connect to your corner. Then it will look like you have some weird overhang, and part of your top of your letter will be larger or thicker than the rest. So we don't want that either. So your parallel lines must meet at the corners, and they must be parallel for them to look exact. Now the thickness of that side of the letter and the top of the letter should match that interior bar's thickness. And then you can just clean up your letter. And that's it for today. So you've seen how a letter or object can change based on where it is around a central 1-point vanishing point in 1-point perspective.